In the last episode, we finalized our changes. We let go of the sole survivor remaining on this team in terms of player who has value, that being Dylan Larkin. We finalized the rules in terms of 4 teams that we can draft from, and we went through yet another entry draft. Now, as mentioned, through the early stages of a draft to glory, there's a lot of just kind of tedious work to skip over. So the re-sign phase, obviously free agency, is not a big deal to us. But it's pretty much going to be, hey, let's get to the draft as soon as possible to see who we can add. Because when you look at the re-sign phase here, for example, there's really not much to do. We're going to drop Jonathan Bernier. Hopefully for him, he can find work elsewhere. Calvin Pickard's going to go. Brad Thiessen is going to go. And when it comes to signing players, I mean, again, Philip Larson, Keith Petruzzelli, not going to be a part of the team moving forward. But obviously when it comes to our goaltenders, there is the debate, really not just with our goalies, I suppose, but with all of our players, as to whether or not they should be signed or not. And I raise that question because here's Jamie Drysdale, for example. He didn't improve at all last year. Now, I'm presuming we will see improvement from him by the time we get to the preseason, but the argument is there that the majority of our players should probably just be signed and played in the NHL to see what happens, or we leave them unsigned. And to be honest, I have no idea what I want to do in that regard. So it could be very interesting to see how this team is set up heading in to this next season. But all things considered, I still like where we are as a team right now. I mean, defensively, we lack top-notch prospects, obviously, outside of Jamie Drysdale. But I still like the draft as it was for the forward core. Obviously, we added Brendan Othman. And you still have, some medium bottom 6 guys. But obviously, Willie Cashman, the medium elite option. Super intrigued to see if he develops as well. So what I'm going to do, I will jump cut us to the preseason, get you a look at what this team shapes up like, and then we'll see how the season sim goes. Hopefully, this works out for us. All right, we are at the beginning of the preseason. The team is set, and we've taken a different approach than what I thought we would, and it's going to be very interesting to see if it pans out for us, but this is the team that we are rolling with here in Season 3. Now, there is still a mix of some veteran players, Abdelkader, Nielsen. We signed the likes of Molson and Ben Street, just that they had a place to go. Obviously not major game changers, but the key difference here, obviously, we've signed our younger players, and they're going to be playing. Brendan Othman's in this lineup, which I'm still happy we ended up with him, but Hoffman, Yzerman, Fowler, Galad, Cardwell, Pearson, Willie Cashman, all in the lineup. And we're going to see what that does for the development. Now, it is a huge risk because defensively, we do have Jamie Drysdale, who did go up by 4 overall points, having not played in the NHL last year. So I don't know if this move is going to backfire or not, but we are able to get the defense into a good spot where there are at least 2 +5s and a +3. We'll see how it works out for us. Maybe it might have been the right move. Decent chance it was the wrong move. Time will tell, but we are essentially running an AHL team as our NHL team, which you could argue the Detroit Red Wings did anyway this past season. So thankfully it wasn't that big of an issue trying to sign players. I mean, the key here is just instead of handing out one $17 million deal, just hand out a couple $1,000,000 to each player and then no one rejects because you're paying them a decent amount. So we shall see what happens with this year's Detroit Red Wings. I have a hunch, a suspicion, mind you, that we're likely to end up with the #1 lottery odds yet again. I've been wrong before, but time will tell, as I'm going to get you guys a look here before we jump cut to the end of the season as to what our overalls happen to be for this 3rd season here at the helm of the Detroit Red Wings. So we go up against Toronto in Game 1, and yeah, it's going to be a long season. All right, the season has come to a close for the Detroit Red Wings, and I have to be honest, we probably won more games than the majority of you expected us to win. I would say more than I expected us to win. Oh no, not exactly a bad record of 13, 67, and 2, just 28 points, but when you looked at the roster that we had, it's debatable, it's arguable, call it what you willable. we probably shouldn't have been as good as we were. 13 wins with this team. Toronto ended up taking the Atlantic Division. Florida and Boston made the playoffs as well. In the Metro, Philly, Carolina, Washington, Pittsburgh, and the New York Rangers are heading to the postseason. In the Central, it's Chicago, Dallas, Winnipeg, and Minnesota. Again, the haves and the have-nots. I don't know why St. Louis and Nashville are always so bad in franchise mode. Edmonton, Vegas, Anaheim, and Calgary also made it. And again, San Jose was incredibly rough. So we weren't the only punching bag of a team in the NHL this season. Not by a long shot, but we do secure the rights at the top draft lottery odds, which of course is extremely helpful for us. So we'll see how that works out in just a few moments. But goals for per game, we barely averaged 2 goals a game, which isn't really surprising. Vegas averaged 3.8, and our goals against per game almost 5. I mean, as you would expect, this defense, the goaltending, absolutely shredded. But all in all, we'll still take a look at the team. Obviously, Jamie Drysdale stands out with 66 points on defense, but check him with the forwards first. Franz Nielsen led the way. Matt Molson was there. The first real player that we have to care about is Brendan Othman, 42 points in his rookie season, 19 goals. From there, Max Galad with 19 points. I mean, you can see how rough it was. Matt Reed, who was our healthy scratch, ended up playing 35 games. We had quite a few injuries here and there. But Cardwell at the bottom at just 9 points on a full 82-game season. Defensively, again, Drysdale did very well. Matthew Bales did very well as well with 31 points. And Gretz also broke the 20-point mark. DeKaiser ended up playing 8 games. And goaltending-wise, you knew it would be rough. And it was. Wasn't ideal. We'll see how much, if any, that stunts the development of these players, but with most of them outside of Drysdale, it's like, okay, we might as well give them a shot to see what happens. Sebastian Aho led the league in scoring. Hall, McDavid, and Pacioretty all broke the 100-point mark. It's Taylor Hall now in Carolina alongside Sebastian Aho, so it makes sense. Goal-scoring king was Ovechkin, and Hall actually 58 each, 56 for Connor McDavid, and Pacioretty also broke 50. Cole Caulfield, Montreal, up to an 84 at the end of Season 3. For the defense, Jamie Drysdale may have just won a Norris at 19 years old. I mean, the lack of goal scoring and the plus-minus might kill him, but he outpointed Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Mira Heiskanen and Dougie Hamilton as well, who's now in Edmonton, by the way, as weird as that happens to be. So Jamie Drysdale, will keep an eye out to see if, in fact, we have a 19-year-old Norris winner. That is very much possible, as Igor Shesterkin in Chicago now was the winningest goaltender. The shutout king was one Catahat, up to an 89. And in terms of save percentages, I mean, Aaron Dell did very well in Philadelphia. Philadelphia. Jesus. Swayman did incredibly well for Boston, but Carter Hart likely just won a Vezina. Hell of a season for him in Philly. And for the rookie race, I mean, Jamie Drysdale likely just won the Calder and the Norris, which is insanity. They might give it to Cole Caulfield, but let's be honest, Jamie Drysdale deserves all the credit in the world. Likely the future captain of this team. I think it was Advocator, Nielsen, and DeKaiser that was the leadership core for this team this season. Jamie Drysdale is going to be the captain of this team. A fantastic season for him. That said, at the beginning of the year, we did not take a look. Stuart Ling is a computer-generated player. Why couldn't you be from one of the 4 teams we're allowed to draft from? Beginning of the season, we didn't take a look at who was available. I'm praying that Lampkin is there and eligible. But let's see who is available to us. So obviously, Stuart Ling is not. Shane Wright is not. Oh, God. 2 great players from the O. And neither Ling nor Lampkin are available to us. That absolutely sucks. Obviously, in real life, Brad Lambert's not in the OHL, but he is there for the moment. Pedro Van Riemsdyk, also not available. Oh, boy. This is... Oh, no. Okay, Nick Stock, son of PJ, looks to be the first player that we're able to draft. Again, we have the Erie Otters, Flint Firebirds, the Saginaw Spirit, and the Windsor Spitfires as options to us. Oh, God, we swung and missed. at least through the early stages here. We'll see who else happens to be available, but right now it's not looking good. Benjamin German available from Saginaw. Anybody else that we have here? Nobody from Barrie. Tommy Parks. Jaden McKay from the Windsor Spits. Chase McAllister. It's going to be a bad time. It is going to be a very, very bad time here, isn't it? Like, out of desperation, I keep scrolling back to check, being like, well, please, was there this guy? There is not much help coming for this team this season, unfortunately. Keith Crombeen is there. Andy Finley, also of the Windsor Spitfires. Polasek is still available. Of course, we nearly took him last year, and he is likely to be picked up this season. You got Sador still, Preston Burke. Yeah, this is not good. I'm going to do my best to set our scouts to actually take a look at those who are way down the bottom of the board here. But still, this is not promising. We have to hope. Dillingham Morelli, love that name. We have to hope that once we really get into computer-generated territory, that we have better luck than this, because this is brutal. I mean, we're heading into the 500s. We don't even have a dozen players pinned as far as I can recall. So we'll make the best of it. Ian Lemieux is there as well. And like I said, we're going to scout out, or at least, yeah, we're going to scout out. We're going to have our scouts take a look at these players and just hope that somehow, some way, they're at least half decent. Trust me, I know the odds of that are incredibly slim. Ariel Sweat is there. What a name. Probably not much of a player, though. Jackson Horton, computer generated, but way the hell down there. Brady Buss of the Windsor Spitfires. We have Andy Barlow. I mean, there are available players. It's not as if we don't have 7 players to draft. It's just we don't have 7 good players to draft, even with the addition of Windsor. Again, those top players, you know, in the top 5 of this draft that are from the OHL, them not being available to us, that's a low blow for sure. That hurts the cause, absolutely. So those are all the players that we have available to us here in this draft. I'll have to go to Assign Scout here just to try and get a look, at least make sure that the AI happens to look at these players. Oh my god, the menu lag right now. You love to see it. You don't love to see it. It's a nightmare. It is an absolute nightmare. Alright, so this is our scouting department at the moment. Who's not taking a look at many players? I guess you all are. Drummond. Let's have you scout specific players. I mean, again, Reitling, Savoy, Kamel. You looking at these players does absolutely nothing for me. We are going to have you take a look at the players on the Windsor Spitfires, and we're just going to hope for the best that some of these guys might be half decent. McKay and Buss were the last 2, right? Yeah. So I'll have him take a look at players from Windsor. I need to remove these other assignments. There needs to be a button, and if it's there, I have missed it. There needs to be a button where you can just clear a scout's assignment. And I don't know if there is. I feel like you have to manually unassign players that they're already looking at, which is a nightmare for obvious reasons. I need to get that date down to the beginning of June, so that we know all of our players are actually scoutable. Oh my god, yeah, this is a nightmare. There we go. Okay, so you take a look at those players, please, if you will. From there, oh god, August, September, alright, June 5th, so Sexsmith. Yeah, see, there's no button to clear the assignments. It's... Actually, hold on. The best way to do it might be to just hit Find Prospects. Yeah, here, what if I do this? Is this going to be the best way to reset it? And now we have your scout-specific players. Okay, cool. That works. Kind of dumb as opposed to just having a clear option, but hey, we made it work. So next up, we're going to have this dude take a look at everybody on Saginaw, and we'll hope that, again, somehow, some way, out of the 4 players available, that somebody's half decent. Let's be honest, we know it's not the case. Let's confirm the assignment there for Hendricks, and we'll have him take a look. So you've seen the list of who's available, and you know that we now need a miracle to actually have half-decent players available to us. Will that miracle happen? I doubt it. We have to hope for the best. Wow, there were like no London Knights in this draft. Good thing we don't have London as a selectable option. Ton of Flint Firebirds, though, which is promising, with the exception, of course, that none of them are projected to be drafted. Yay. So he will be going until June 1st. And then, of course, we have one more team to go. Let's set up Book. The Book. The Book. Oh, God, I hate it. Again, why there just isn't a clear button, I have no idea, but it's fine. It's just another thing for me to complain about. So then we have the Erie Otters as our final team. Sador, Burke, Polisek, Stock. And we'll see here if Cohen... Yeah, wow, okay. Well, there we go. Okay, we should be good. We had our scout... Did we have a... No, I didn't even set up Flint yet. Damn it. Alright, well, we got one more team to set up. You see why we've jump cut the majority of the video here, because a lot of this is just... I'm gonna go with tedious, right? We'll go with tedious. Boyle. Yeah, here you're looking at Brad Lambert, so... We shall go with Boyle, and really it just builds up the drama to figure out... Well, who am I kidding? What drama? We didn't get lucky with the top players available, so we kind of already know who's going to be available. I guess it's just going to be the drama, more so of whether or not any of these guys will be half decent, as opposed to, oh, here we go, are we going to get the #1 pick and get this franchise-level player, which has happened before. So that's just not a thing for us. With that, let's wrap up the regular season. AHL is still going. They have 4 games in a row. Fun. We had 3 games in a row, and we lost all 3. We'll send to the end. We'll take a look at the awards, who won the cup, so on and so forth. As Grand Rapids still, I thought they made the playoffs for a second, which would have been ridiculous. I don't think they have. Alex Weiss goes down to injury. Yeah, Grand Rapids did make the playoffs. Fair enough. Fair play to that. Honestly, they're not a bad team by AHL standards, so it makes a little bit of sense. And they're moving on. Imagine the Grand Rapids Griffins win a trophy here in this season. It could very, very well be done, as it's taking forever here because they're still in the playoffs. Honestly, I wish they didn't make it. We'll see what happens here. The Stanley Cup in Season 3 goes to the Philadelphia Flyers. Perhaps no real surprise given the caliber of goaltending that they had for the majority of the season. They beat the Winnipeg Jets in 5 in the Stanley Cup final, beating the Rangers, Caps, and Bruins along the way in the East. So as we always do, we'll see what the Flyers happen to look like at this point. But obviously Joel Farabee and Sean Couturier were a big part of the title victory. Lucas Raymond as well, who they drafted 3rd overall. Voracek, Kovalchuk. I mean, damn. So let's see. Farabee's up to an 88. Good lord. Morgan Frost is an 89. Konechny at an 84. I mean, Nolan Patrick's still there. Of course, Philip Zadina. He only played 4 games, but Philip Zadina is a Stanley Cup champion. And, of course, Ghost-Bear, Provorov, Myers, Sanheim. So their defense would have been a little bit weaker. But they have Carter Hart, who is an absolute cheat code. And Aaron Dell, when he played, what the hell got into Aaron Dell? Insane season for him. But here we go. Moment of truth as it's Winnipeg, Minnesota, and now Philly winning the Cup. What's going to happen here with Jamie Drysdale? Sebastian Aho won the Art Ross and the Hart Trophy. They gave it to Dougie! You have to be kidding me. Oh, that is disrespectful. Jamie Drysdale, who's up to an 88 overall, by the way. Holy shit, that's due to morale. Otherwise, he'd be a top 2 or statistical growth, either or. Could be a combination of both. Jamie Drysdale. Wow. Absolutely robbed. I'm sorry. Absolutely robbed of a Norris. How the hell are you going to give it to Dougie? It's off of plus minus. It's absolutely off of plus minus. That's the only way he could possibly beat OEL. So the minus 77 for Jamie Drysdale screws him out of a Norris in his rookie season. We will remember this. Jamie Drysdale was robbed of a Norris in his rookie season, and I hope he gets one eventually because he deserved it here. Jonathan Marchessault wins Lady Bing. The Calder, though, does go to Jamie Drysdale. Thank God. They made the right call there. So Drysdale winning the Calder, should have won the Norris, though. Farabee, the Conn Smythe. Carter Hart won the Vezina and the Jennings. Dowdy, the Masterton. Florida's head coach wins the Jack Adams. Barkov wins the Selke. Aho wins the Ted Lindsay. And Taylor Hall gets credited, as well as Alex Ovechkin, for the Rocket Richard. And in the AHL, I think that's Frederick Karlstrom. Put up the most points. Connor Bunnaman, the Bunaman MVP. Patrick Newell scored the most goals. Don't know who that is for Johnson, but he is the top rookie. Mitch Reinke, top defenseman. Top goaltender, Cam Talbot. MVP of the playoffs was Wade Allison. Did Philly pull off the double and I just completely missed it? I think Lehigh Valley won the Calder Cup. So a hell of a season. Indeed, hell of a season for the Philadelphia Flyers organization as they pull off the double with the Stanley Cup and the Calder Cup. With that, let's find out how the lottery results go for us. It's not going to be all that important. For the second year in a row, we win the number one pick. That's insane. When's the last time in any series we had the best odds to win number one, and we did so 2 years in a row, and it's being completely wasted, unfortunately, as we can't make the selections. That is problematic. Extremely problematic. So Dano Chara retires within the Philadelphia Flyers organization, so as did Andy Green. And for the goaltenders, we see Brian Elliott, who lost to his former team, or at least saw his NHL team lose to his former team in Philadelphia in the Cup Finals. Justin Williams and Dan Hamhuis, also affectionately known as Hamhouse, become head coaches. We'll see what happens. I think that was NHL 08 or NHL 2K8 that Dan Hamhuis was called Damn Hanhouse. Dan Hamhouse. To the draft we go because it's going to be pretty straightforward. Probably should have gone through the interview process again, but it's fine. Let's see who it's going to be. As I wish it was Lampkin. I wish it was Ling. It's not going to be. Either one of those two players were available, or we would have been just in the damn money. It's not going to happen, though. The first player available to us is going to be Nick Stock, the defenseman from the Erie Otters, who I am affectionately going to say is the son of PJ. Nick Stock is the pick. At best, we need to hope he's a medium top 4. Number 1 overall pick, Nick Stock. He's going to be useful to us, but that sucks. 63 overall, medium top 6 for the defenseman from the Erie Otters. Yikes. We have the first pick of the second round as well. Is this Ron Burgundy? Rohan Burgundy. So close. So close. But let's see who we have available to us here. We will go back and recap the first round. It's going to be Benjamin German from the Saginaw Spirit. The 18-year-old, 6'3", 209 pounds, good physicality at least. 4-year ETA. But Benjamin German is going to be the first pick of the second round. And he's a low top 9 as opposed to a medium, which absolutely sucks. As you see how good Ling, Savoy, Lambert, Lampkin, Wright, Miroshnichenko, who is real. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yeah, so there's a mix of real-world players like Seamus Casey, Jack Hughes, because there is a real player named Jack Hughes coming up in the system. Tristan Lenoux, who, I forget who he was just selected by in the QMJHL draft, but there are real-life players here in the mix. Joachim Kamel as well, Charlie Leddy. Oh boy, this draft, though, not great. Getting Brennan Othman last year was a gift to say the least. Next up, who do we have? It's McAllister, who we can take a chance on. And then there's McKay, or Mackey. So, we have the likes of Garvin, Sweat, Deline, he's an overager, though. I mean, Sador as a 20-year-old overager. Jace McAllister is probably the guy. McKay is not that bad either. I think we are going to go with who just has the highest central scouting rank first. So with this pick, we are going to take Jace McAllister from the Windsor Spitfires. Okay, this draft likely to be a complete wash. You know, the build-up and the highlight of this episode, Jamie Drysdale's performance, Norris candidate in his rookie season. But in terms of how this is actually going down for us, this is a nightmare, as Jaden McKay, the 19-year-old from the Windsor Spitfires, he has confidence, thank God. He's going to be the pick, a medium bottom 6 forward, the best draft pick we've had since the first round, as we move on to the 5th. And we'll see who else is potentially available here, at least next up in the order. So it's Crombeen for the Flint Firebirds. Either that or we start looking very far off the board. I'm going to go with Keith Crombeen, son of BJ, who is also half decent. Not amazing, but it'll do. And then in the 6th round, we are now into completely uncharted territory in terms of here's a bunch of dudes, but who are we going to draft? So again, there's Horton. I think we're going to eliminate the 20-year-olds from the mix. That way we don't take an overager. So Sador is gone. Ian Lemieux is going to be off the list. Who else do we have here? There's actually not that many overagers in the mix. It's just a matter of who the hell do we select. We should probably look for a 17 or 18-year-old to pick up in this draft. They have the best chance of being half decent, but let's be honest. This isn't going to go too well for us. Finley can't take face-offs, even though he's a center. It's not really that surprising. Really, it's just who do we think might be the best. Let's go for Elias Cohen. 19-year-old, has a good wrist shot, apparently. Erie Otters pickup. Let's take Elias Cohen. Yeah, he's not that good. He's a 60 overall, which is fairly impressive. But yeah, you could kind of tell that this draft was going to be difficult. So with that, oh boy, with that, who's the best 17-year-old in the draft? We're going to take the youngest player available and hope that somehow, some way, they are half decent. So there's Horton, who's available. Right now we have one of 2 options, and I think, shout out to Cameron, I think he, the list is going to stay that limited, unfortunately. Barlow's out. Yep. Okay, so it's one of 2 here in the 7th round. It's either Parker Baldwin or Jackson Horton. And I mean, for the fact that Jackson Horton at least put up some points, it's got to be him. We'll take Jackson Horton from the Erie Otters, and he's a low bottom 6. So this draft was a nightmare. That's the only way to put it. This draft was an absolute nightmare. Not much we can do about it, except chalk it up as a gigantic L and just look at Jamie Drysdale and those beautiful eyebrows for a little bit of hope and optimism, because we didn't get much. With that, we are done here. I thank you very much for watching this video, for supporting this series, for supporting me. It is greatly appreciated. You know the deal. If you enjoyed, drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already, even though, unlike a lot of channels, probably because of limited viewership, the vast majority of people who do view my videos are subscribed, and I thank you very much for that. Of course, I also want to shout out my patrons over on Patreon. I love you all. Thank you as well for your continued support. Of course, there is another Houston episode up today on that platform as well. So for now, thank you all for watching once more. I hope you have a damn good day, evening, night, afternoon, midday. I said evening. Stay safe. I love you all. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.